Pleased now to welcome in Tim Prister, who covers Notre Dame for 24/7 Sports, and David Lake, who covers 24/7 Sports with Miami. Fellas, let's get right into this. Talk about the QB situation because I feel like expectations are sky high on both sides. David, I'll go with you first. What's the feel around the program with Carson Beck now being the guy?
Yeah, I mean, look, Carson has big shoes to fill with Cam Ward, and after what he did last year, set multiple single-season passing records for the Hurricanes. And look, fair or unfair, Carson is going to get compared to Cam Ward this year. But I will say, look, Carson came to Miami because of what Cam Ward did last year. This time last year, there was a lot of skepticism that Cam Ward would be able to elevate Miami like he did because he had led Washington State the previous year to a 5-7 record. Ward plugged into Shannon Dawson's system, played behind Miami's excellent offensive line, and used a fresh start, the transfer opportunity, to embrace being a vocal leader. I think Beck, saw that and wanted that for himself. And in terms of feeling pressure, Beck is coming from a Georgia program that's a pressure cooker program in its own right, maybe the top program in the country, arguably, and he went 24-3 there as a starter, with 2 of those losses coming against the top 10 Alabama teams. So I think, again, fair or unfair, he's going to get compared to Cam Ward, but he also embraces that because he does have high expectations for himself.
Yeah, certainly the departure from Georgia made some Bulldogs fans happy, but that's just how the way of college football goes. And David, we'll go to you now and talk about Carr, who will make his first, Tim, go to you now. CJ Carr will make his first career start. He'll attempt his first pass. Is he ready for this stage?
Well, I think he is. I mean, he was certainly challenged by Kenny Minchey during preseason camp. He won the job. And I think, all things being equal, Notre Dame wanted CJ Carr to win the job. I think his upside is higher. He's a guy that gives him an opportunity to push the football down the field. And, if you look through the years of the great Notre Dame teams, they've been run-oriented, run-dominated. And CJ Carr's a guy that can really heave it, very accurate. And, we've seen Marcus Freeman. Since he got to Notre Dame, there's been an uptick in aggression with their special teams. Certainly defensively, they'll bring pressure, and I think he wants to do the same thing offensively. You have a great running back in Jeremiyah Love and a compliment to him in Jadarian Price running behind a quality offensive line. But what differentiates, the best in the country and the ability to push the ball down the field is something that Notre Dame hasn't had consistently. So I think CJ Carr is the guy that they want. Can he handle the pressure in Hard Rock Stadium in his first career start? He certainly seems like that kind of guy. We spoke with him recently, and then you hear Marcus Freeman and you hear offensive coordinator Mike Denbrock talk about, just the confidence and the approach that he takes. They have to rein him in a little bit sometimes. But Mike Denbrock says it's easier to say, whoa, as opposed to giddy up with a quarterback, and he has plenty of giddy up. So they're looking forward to the start of the CJ Carr era, but it is a first start on the road, Hard Rock Stadium. Notre Dame's quite familiar with a raucous crowd in that facility.
Yeah, Carr at least has the acumen and the accolades following him coming from college, coming from high school. See if that can translate over to college. David, let's look back over at Miami. And I'll say first, I am a grad of the University of Florida, so I enjoy seeing the Hurricanes struggle. I'll get that out the way. No CFP appearance for them last year made me very happy, given how good Cam Ward was. Can this version of Miami do what Cam Ward couldn't and get them to that playoff?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the goal, right? CFP or bust, absolutely this year. I think the first goal is kind of handle your business in ACC play, which, frankly, Miami hasn't done since joining the conference 20 years ago. So that's the first goal, handling ACC schedule. But also these premier games like this Notre Dame opener, right? It's an opportunity for Miami to make a strong impression against a very good team. And look, it's year 4 of the Mario Cristobal era. He was brought into Miami to do one thing, and that was upgrade the talent of the roster. And he's absolutely done that, particularly at the line of scrimmage. He's taken things to another level there. To be a college football playoff type of team, you got to have the body types that look the part, as well as the athleticism around those bigger bodies, those jumbo athletes. And I've been covering the program now for 20 years, and this is the most well-balanced roster I've seen in terms of body types on both sides of the ball, line of scrimmage, checking those boxes. The quarterback is strong as well. To me, you gotta be good at 4 position groups in particular to be a real college football playoff contender or team, and that's quarterback, offensive line, defensive line, and cornerback. And Miami certainly checks all the boxes at those position groups. So I think it is kind of a CFP or bust year this year for Miami in year 4 of Mario Cristobal.
Yeah, lace them up and let the chips fall where they may once the game begins. Over to the Fighting Irish now, Tim. Of course, they make it to the CFP title game last year. They come up short. But now as you retool, look for another year. Marcus Freeman still there. How does he dial up another appearance and this time maybe get over the hump fully and win it all?
I think it starts with maintaining a culture. Notre Dame talks about culture a lot for a good reason. Notre Dame's a little bit different than the other schools contending for national titles, and it's really important that you find the people that fit Notre Dame and to build that culture. Marcus Freeman has done a spectacular job of doing that. He came in with a complete understanding of Notre Dame, or at least that's developed along the way in the previous 3 years. He understands what it takes to win at Notre Dame and the kind of people that you want. So that's number one. Number two, he's had to rebuild the leadership of this team. They lost some great leaders last year, Riley Leonard being one on offense, and then defensively Jack Kaiser and Riley Mills and Howard Cross, and especially Xavier Watts, who was an outstanding safety, and that was a huge loss. But again, it goes back to what I said about being more aggressive, top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams. Marcus Freeman is a modern day coach, and he believes in going for it. We saw how bold he was with his special teams. His defense will attack. Chris Ash is a new defensive coordinator replacing Al Golden. I recently spoke with Urban Meyer. I got to know him when he was a 32-year-old assistant coach at Notre Dame, and he loves Chris Ash. Chris Ash was his co-defensive coordinator in 2014, and he's an aggressive coach as well. And one of the things that Meyer said about Ash was what a great teacher he is, and ultimately that's what it comes down to. Al Golden was a great teacher. You still got to get that continuity from one coordinator to the next, which Miami is learning as well. But it starts with culture, and I think Marcus Freeman's done a spectacular job of building that. And this is an ultra confident football program right now heading into the 2025 season.
Yeah, and it's a very exciting season opener. We've seen so many Miami Notre Dame moments over the years, iconic moments here, there, history being made everywhere you look. David, I know that you've covered for Miami for quite some time. Tim, same for you over on the Notre Dame side. I'll start with you, David, first. What can this game and will this game add a worthy chapter to the history of what we'll call a rivalry?
Yeah, I mean, look, anytime these two teams get together, it's a fun deal. And certainly from the Miami side, right, you can tell that the fans in particular, they feel a different type of energy when Notre Dame comes to town. And you saw that back in 2017 in that game. And frankly, that's the best environment I've ever seen at Hard Rock Stadium. And the goal this weekend is to try and replicate that electricity. And so, it's a different deal as it relates to adding to the rivalry. Look, I think both these teams desperately need this win on their respective resumes as they look to be in the hunt for a college football playoff appearance. So that's what makes this kind of a high stakes game, even though it is a game one. It's just the first game of the season, but I do think it's an important potential resume checker for the College Football Playoff Committee down the road if both these teams end up being what we think they will be over the course of the whole season.
Well, I'm one of the few guys that has been on the beat long enough to have been at the Notre Dame-Miami game in 1989, and Notre Dame had a 23-game winning streak, and that was the most, how would I put this, violent crowd I think I've ever been in. And so there's a lot to live up to in this series with this game, but I think it'll be an outstanding game. Mario Cristobal's on the right track with Miami. I think if Carson Beck has time to throw the football, he will challenge Notre Dame's secondary. It's an excellent Notre Dame secondary, but Notre Dame needs to put pressure on him because I think that's when Carson Beck makes his mistakes, like most quarterbacks, but especially him. If Miami runs the ball, it'll be tough for Notre Dame to win. But I think Notre Dame's defensive tackles, which has been a question mark through the preseason, Marcus Freeman spoke very highly of that group. And so if that group is an asset, it's going to be very difficult for Miami to win. But I think, I really think it comes down to You had the graphic about Miami's record against top 25s or top 10 since 2017. Notre Dame is coming off of having played USC, Indiana, Georgia, Penn State, and Ohio State. I think they're built for this. Whereas, Miami's biggest wins last year were at Louisville, which is a good team. Notre Dame struggled with them. But Louisville scored 45 against them. And then Duke, was one of their other big wins. They opened with a win at Florida, but Florida lost 5 of their first 8. So I think Notre Dame is built for this situation. Still going to be a difficult environment with a new group of people. But I think Notre Dame's pretty well built for this.
So then, Tim, that leads me to asking you this point blank period. Who wins the game on Sunday?
Yeah, I think it's a lower scoring game. I don't see a shootout. I think Notre Dame's going to be much more aggressive offensively in the passing game than most expect. They'll pick their spots, but they have a lot of confidence in C.J. Carr fitting some of those passes into tight windows. So I think lower scoring. I've got Notre Dame 27, Miami 21.
David?
Yeah, similar. I think this is going to be a great game. I think it's coin flippy. I think the biggest advantage to me that either team has on paper going into this game is at the quarterback position for Miami, the most important position in sports with the talent and experience Carson Beck brings to the field. So I'm going to say Miami 28, Notre Dame 24.
So both going on the lower scoring side of things. One thing I do know for sure is that it will be a fun environment for once in Miami Gardens on Sunday, and we are very, very looking forward to it. Tim Prister, David Lake, thank you so much.